What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. and this conversation going on about these guys fighting. And the reason I'm doing this is because there's a lot of people that I like very much. Subscribers, people who might not be subscribers that come by the channel often, man, that are really split with this Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. thing. And I want to give my point of view on my point of view. Because I was in a chat, I think it was, what was it? It was Smoke City Mobcast. And there was a subscriber of mine, or a guy who might have used to be I don't know how to say that right, subscriber of mine, that says Fanon's always hating on Terence Crawford. And I took issue with that because that's not the truth. I've not said a negative word about Terence Crawford ever. And I don't have a negative thought in my mind about Terence Crawford. I'm not going to go through what I think about Terence Crawford, but I will, other than to say Terence Crawford deserves every bit of credit that Terence Crawford has ever gotten in a boxing ring. And I have video after video after video after video after video giving him credit for that. Go check my timeline. But what I am is a person that listens to what people say. I listen to what people the words that actually leave their mouths. That is a curse. It's a blessing and it's a curse. As many people know in this channel, by education and by profession, I'm a lawyer. And what I have to do when I read a contract or I write a contract or I'm dealing with somebody in business, because I do business law, I write contracts, I manage contracts, I interpret contracts. I advise people on entering into agreements and not whether they should enter into an agreement, whether they should not enter into an agreement. If they want to enter into the agreement, how they should phrase the things necessary to make sure that they protect themselves and that their interests are clearly communicated. I am a very particular person when it comes to listening to promises that are made and offers that are made. I am not going to make an assumption about what you think or what you offered. I'm going to listen to what you actually said, because assumptions, I'm sure you guys have heard this phrase, an assumption will make an ass of you and me. And what a salesman or a politician will often do, because lawyers really get a bad rap for this, but in truth, it's not them. It's the politicians and salesmen that do this more than anybody else. They say something that is non-committal and rely upon the human tendency to fill in the blanks and to hear what they want to hear out of somebody else's mouth. So we've been having this conversation about Terence Crawford having called out Errol Spence Jr. And what I said was, and I maintain it, he has never called out Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. has never called out Terence Crawford. And I will explain. I'm not talking about whether I think Errol Spence Jr. can beat Terence Crawford, or whether Terence Crawford can beat Errol Spence, or whether or not I think that they would fight each other if the opportunity presented itself, or whether or not one person is afraid of the other. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the very specific topic of whether or not Terence Crawford requested a fight of Errol Spence Jr. And to every time I have listened to Terence Crawford mention Errol Spence, it has always been that he would fight him, or that saying something that is kind of around the bout. Not saying it's around about because he's dodging the question, but it's just not completely committing to wanting to fight Errol Spence Jr. in his next fight. When you call somebody out, that is you requesting to fight them. And when you're requesting to fight them, you're not requesting to fight them and 6 other people. You're not requesting to fight him eventually. You are requesting to fight him next. That's when you call someone out. That is an offer that you're making to someone. I want to offer you a fight, Errol Spence. I want to fight you next. My manager will call you, Errol. I want to whoop you because you are slow. You are one-dimensional. You cannot beat me. I am the better fighter. I'm the best fighter in the world. I want to fight you, Errol Spence Jr., and I want to fight you, and I do not want to fight anyone else. I want to fight you. That is a call out. It is not a call out if Errol Spence Jr. says, I want to fight Terence Crawford or Keith Thurman or Sean Porter or Adrian Bronner. Eventually, if the opportunity presents itself, I will whoop him. That is not the same thing. To parallel that to another thing, which is not if a woman you want to date says, you know what, I would go out on a date with you if you get a job, if you brush your teeth, if you wear better clothes, if you lose 15 pounds, then I might consider doing that eventually. That is not that woman telling you that she is going to have sex with you. That is her saying, essentially, if it's saying maybe I will. Or I promise to do it if you do all these other things. It is not her committing to it. So when I'm telling you that Terence Crawford has not called out Terence Crawford has not called out Errol Spence, it's because I have never heard him say that he wants to fight Errol Spence Jr. immediately. When Errol Spence Jr. called out called out Sean Porter, there was no question about what he wanted to do. And if he didn't do it when the opportunity presented itself, you could have called him out on that. Errol Spence got in the ring with Sean Porter and said, I want to fight you, Sean Porter. I want to fight you next. Don't fight somebody else before you fight me. I'm talking to Mikey Garcia, but that's only if I cannot get Sean Porter. I want Sean Porter. Not, I would take that fight if that fight presented itself at the right time after it's built up. He didn't say all that. He was very direct about it. If Terence Crawford is very direct about it, I wouldn't say this. But Terence Crawford is not direct about it. And no matter how many people have sent me texts about I would beat you on the basketball court, or I beat you or I beat you on the basketball court, or all these guys that you think are going to be the best or going to be the easiest, all those type of things, I don't have any doubt that Terence Crawford believes. And I don't have any reason to doubt that Terence Crawford would fight Errol Spence. Nor do I have any doubt that Terence Crawford believes he can beat Terence Crawford. That Terence Crawford believes he can beat Errol Spence. But I'm not going to fill the blanks in for him. And that's not me hating on Terence Crawford. It's just me listening to what he said. When Bob Arum said, we'll fight Terence Crawford, we'll make the Errol Spence Jr. fight whenever Errol Spence Jr. is ready, is not the same as saying we want to fight Errol Spence Jr. next. It's not the same thing. Because when he's ready could mean anything. When he's ready could mean when he's a pay-per-view star. When he's ready could be when we think he's ready. It could be when Errol thinks it's ready. There's all kind of ambiguity to that statement. And I'm not into ambiguity. I'm into what left his mouth. And the reason why I tell people that it's so important for you to listen to what people actually comes out of their mouths is that's why you wind up voting for politicians that didn't promise you to do anything. They want you to hope. We will bring hope out. We will make things great again. We will do all these things which are not specific. That when you ask them, what did you promise to do? What did you agree to do? They didn't agree to or promise to do anything. They gave you hope. They promised to make America great. They didn't promise to actually do anything. So when a manager talks about a fighter wanting to do a fight, that is not the fighter saying it. It's the manager saying it, or it's the promoter saying it, or it's the coach saying it, or it's their mama saying it, or it's their brother saying it. They're not saying it. And you, if you had to hold somebody's feet to the fire, you couldn't do it because they never said it. It's the same thing as somebody telling me what Shelly Finkel said about his plans for Deontay Wilder, as if Deontay Wilder said it. I know what Deontay Wilder said. Deontay Wilder said he wanted to fight Anthony Joshua next. He was unequivocal. You can go to YouTube and listen to him say it straight and simple. I am not bashing on Terence Crawford when I said that Terence Crawford did not call, is not even trying, from what I can see, to get a fight with Errol Spence Jr. I've seen no proof whatsoever that he's trying to do that. I've seen suggestions that he's willing to do that. If the opportunity presents itself that he would do that. I've heard him say that he's confident that he will beat Errol Spence Jr., but saying I know I'll beat Errol Spence Jr. is not the same thing as saying I'm calling for a fight with Errol Spence Jr. You can say there, I'm sure that if you ask Anthony Joshua whether or not he thinks he can beat Andrew Kwanecki, he would say, yeah, I can beat Adam Kwanecki. I'll whoop the tar out of Adam Kwanecki. That's not the same thing as saying I want to fight Adam Kwanecki next. And the reason why I want to go through this, like painfully go through this, don't expect, if you want to fill in the blanks for people, have at it. Don't ask me to fill in the blank, make assumptions for people about what they would or what they would not do. If they have not asked to do it, I do not have any proof, objective proof, that they want to do it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not hating on Terence Crawford, but I'm not going to do what other people are constantly coming to my page doing, which is filling in the blanks, making assumptions for him. Because this is, you know what that leads to? It leads to you getting your heart broke. Because just like he never committed to doing it, I also heard Bo Mack say that he thinks that Errol Spence Jr. isn't even going to be in that weight class very long. I'm not going to hold I'm not going to hold Terence Crawford to Bo Mack's assumption or belief that Errol Spence might not even be in that weight class very long. That what he does outside of the ring won't allow him to stay at that weight class very long. I'm going to go off of what Terence Crawford said. And the only thing that I know is that I know out of Terence Crawford's mouth is that he believes he can beat Errol Spence Jr. And that if he beats Errol Spence Jr., everybody else will have to eat their words because they doubted him. And although that might be a very subtle difference, to some people a subtle difference, that is not the same thing as him asking for that fight. So if Errol Spence Jr., and I'll say the same thing for Errol Spence Jr., Errol Spence Jr. has not affirmatively said, I want to fight Terence Crawford next. So if somebody if somebody came to my channel and said Errol Spence Jr. called out Terence Crawford, I would say, no, I've never heard it. I've heard Terence Crawford say he could beat him up. He would win the fight, but I haven't heard him call for those fights. And it's on both of those dudes to call for that fight because they're both champions. Just like it's on Sean Porter to call for those fights because those guys are all champions. And Keith Thurman, who should have been stripped of that WBC belt to either fight another champion or give up the belt so we can have somebody else go through that nonsense and maybe we can get one single unified champion. And I like Errol Spence. I like Terence Crawford. Quiet as kept. I like Keith. I like Sean Porter. And I like Keith Thurman. I have supported and rooted for those guys, all of them in different fights that they fought. But I'm not going to pay favorites and fill in the blanks for one guy just because you happen to like him. Anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.